Marilyn Stafford, take one.
I photographed many important people. It runs the gamut of Einstein to Indira Gandhi. I went from Cleveland, Ohio, where I was born and raised, to New York to take my chance on Broadway, and got involved with filmmakers. And one day a group of them were making a film on Albert Einstein, and they invited me to come with them. On the way, I was given a camera and informed that I was going to be the stills lady on this photo shoot. And I'd never taken pictures before, but he was very, very kind, very humble, very simple, took us into his sitting room. And that was my introduction to photography. And I found that was a rather nice way of telling stories. I found myself in Paris about 1949. And I was intent on looking around and taking photographs. And I used to get onto a bus and go from one end of its route to the other. And at one point, I got off at the Bastille, and I found a sign that said Cité Le Sage. And I didn't know what that meant, and I just walked in. And it was a slum, a huge, huge slum. I just took photographs and learned much later that in 1984, the Cité Le Sage had been totally demolished in order to create the Paris Bastille Opera. And the photographs that I have are rather unique. There are very few people who have these pictures. A gentleman came up to me and said that he was looking for a singer to work in a very smart dinner club. And that's how I began to sing in Paris. It was a very smart club. It was the only one that Princess Elizabeth was allowed to go to when she went to Paris. One night, a young American came around and he wanted to sing with us. And he had a group of songs that he wanted to bring to Edith Piaf. And she liked the songs and she rather liked him. And so they became lovers. Every night after she finished work, she would come in to our club, and she brought with her a whole entourage of people and collected him, collected me, and we all went home for breakfast to her house. And if you can think of surrealism in terms of houses, that was a surrealistic house because it had drawings all over the wall of the plants that she had, draperies hanging from the walls. But unfortunately, I wasn't thinking professionally as a photographer. I wasn't thinking, I'm in the house of Edith Piaf. I should be taking photographs of this woman. I should be taking photographs of this marvelous group of people sitting around this funny breakfast table in the basement of this funny house in the Bois de Boulogne. Around the late 50s, I started taking photographs of the early ready-to-wear collections. The expectation was that one would photograph them in upmarket locations. But I felt that I wanted to bring the clothes to the places that the women who would be buying those clothes would wear them. And so I just took the models out into the streets and I photographed them there. These were published in the paper, and I was called an inverted snob for showing this offbeat aspect of clothing and street life. I have photographed people like Lee Marvin, Donovan, Christopher Logue, Sir Richard Attenborough, Twiggy, Joanna Lumley. When I was in Italy, I photographed the artist Renato Gattuso and the writer Italo Calvino. Who else did I photograph? I photographed a lot of people. I had the opportunity to meet two interesting people who were photographers who became my mentors. One was Robert Capa, and the other was Henri Cartier-Bresson. Sometimes I would accompany Cartier-Bresson with him while he was out in the streets taking pictures. And of course, this was a time when you didn't see people out in the streets like you do today, taking photographs. So even him wandering around with his little Leica up to his eye would be calling attention to himself. So I would kind of be there with him with my big chunky Rolleiflex camera. I would be drawing people's attention away from him. And I would do that, you know, from time to time until about 1958, when I went to Tunisia because I wanted to photograph the refugees there who had escaped from the French bombs during the French-Algerian War of Independence. And when I came back, he helped me make a selection, which I sent to the Observer newspaper in London. And I was very pleased because they made the front page. And it was the first time I ever had a front page that really meant something to me, not fashion photographs, but pictures that I felt came from my heart, that told a story that needed telling. I think it's my responsibility to leave the world a better place than I find it. And photography is one way of bringing to the awareness of people things that I find that are not exactly as they should be. And I'm hopeful that sometimes there will be stimulation to do something about it. That's why.